All right, well, let's have a look at this now. We know that Arsenal's defense was recently breached at the weekend in what was such an entertaining game against Sunderland. And just have a look at some of the I suppose you could talk about the records that Arsenal were putting in terms of that defense. 10-game winning streak in all competitions snapping. It was the first time that they conceded 2 goals since May 11th against Liverpool. Well, our Rodra from ESPN, he managed to catch up with David Raya, and this is what he had to say.
Is that the first team that could sort of match Arsenal's physicality?
I think in the Premier League anyone can match the physicality. It's just the way they play, the way they approach the game, and they know their strengths. They just come up from the Championship, and obviously that league is very, very physical. So no, it's just credit to them. They're doing a really, really good season. Where they haven't lost a game at home, and they've been beating and getting points from the big teams. So full credit to Sunderland. They're a tough team to beat.
What's like playing behind this current Arsenal backline, and what makes them so difficult to get past?
Well, I think the difficulty is that we love to defend, the love of defending, the love of not conceding, not even goals, not just chances, trying to stop the teams further up the pitch with the pressing that we do, and then if they push us back into a low block, it's just that love of defending to not let the ball go into the box.
Which of Arsenal's new signings have you been most impressed by, and why?
I think Martin Zubimendi, is a player that is very, very clever. He adapted very, very well into the league, where there's a lot of players that it take a little bit longer to adapt, and especially in his role, he's just adapted so quick, and you can see what he does for the team.
How impressed have you been by Max Dowman, and what's like sharing a dressing room with a 15-year-old?
He's 15, he's turning 16 at the end of the year, and he's incredible. Obviously we don't share that much in the dressing room because he's not allowed with the rules and everything, but sharing the pitch is the maturity that he shows on the pitch, the willingness that he has to just to enjoy and to be himself, to take on players, and always with a smile on his face is incredible. Seeing we've been training with him since he was 14 years old, so very, very impressed with him and his qualities as a player.
Arsenal's David Raya there, of course, now on international duty with España. Don Hutchison is back with us, but Jules, let me start with you. What stood out to you from what Raya had to say?
I thought it was really interesting about the love of defending, the art of defending. The Arsenal defence is clearly something else. I know Sunderland scored twice, and to be fair, the boys were very disappointed. Not so much you can concede 2 goals in a game. It can happen, and you can face a team that scores a great goal, and there's nothing even the best defenders in the world could do about it. However, the 2 goals at Sunderland were both really avoidable if you think about them. The first one is a long ball. Rice doesn't win the duel. Gabriel is a bit short on the second ball. The second goal, I'm not sure Raya needs to come out the way he does. Gabriel is outmuscled by Brobbey. So the 2 goals that would have been really frustrated for them, because usually they're very good in those situations. So a lot still shows that there's a lot to work for, again, to avoid those kind of goals in the few more games. But even with that draw and the 2 goals conceded against Sunderland, it's still a very good start of the season considering who they played against, and especially the away games in that list of fixtures, really. And on Max Dowman, it's funny because, as he says, and I'm not sure if many of the people watching our show knows about that, but he can't go into the dressing room, he's too young, so he changes in another dressing room on his own, and then just joins up with the team on the pitch. He still goes to school. He came back from the Champions League game against Slavia Prague when he broke that record of the youngest ever Champions League player appearance, and the next day he had school in the morning. So it's pretty incredible.
Bless.
Well, you look at me? No, I don't.
You had a young start.
Yeah, but at 15, I was not in a professional locker room, and neither is Max, for that matter.
He can't be.
What's funny in some ways is when they ask him about, which one of the new signings has impressed you the most, and it's Martin Zubimendi. Hey, Martin, how are you?
Hey, Martin, right beside me.
Yeah, this guy right here, Martin. Yeah, well, you mean my teammate with the national team? Oh, yeah, Martin. But Martin Zubimendi has been impressive. And while he was a good player at Real Sociedad, the question was, well, can he adapt to the quote-unquote physicality of the Premier League? Can he adapt to the pace of play of the Premier League? And I think what he has proven that he's been able to do so far is that in reading the game, he's able to overcome some of that lack of speed or some of that physicality. He doesn't have to get on the duels if he's able to win the ball ahead of the duel, ahead of the fight, or if he's able to step into a passing lane that then forces the ball somewhere else. So it's not Martin Zubimendi's game to be winning 50-50 challenges. He is more of a ball player, sort of playmaker, defensive holding midfielder, but a guy who's not interested in having this back and forth. And he does that because he's able to read the game properly. I think he has been really good for Arsenal. And I think he has impressed more people than, or has impressed people more than they would have thought he would add to this team. Has added a lot.
All right, well, let's have a look at the Premier League title odds, shall we? And this probably wouldn't surprise everyone that despite dropping points this weekend, Arsenal still very much favourites to win it. And then Manchester City and Liverpool, of course, have fallen in those odds, as well as Chelsea. But forget title odds, let's be honest. We've got Don Hutchison, the Don, I love my percentages, Hutchison. So Don, hit me with some percentages now in terms of the title and the title race.
I'll keep this one very simple. Chelsea, 0. Liverpool, 0. They ain't coming back from here. And I'm going to go a genuine 50-50. But I've been waiting for this day, Alexis, for about 3 or 4 days. Ali, my friend, I did tell you the Sunderland game would be difficult for Arsenal. And you laughed me out of town. And I did say the Sunderland game and 3 London derbies on the spin would be the test for Arsenal. So big up Sunderland. They deserve their point. Title race, 50-50.
Well, I feel like I have to respond since
You do.
my name was brought up.
Shots are fired.
Right. First, I am flattered that I am so comfortable living in Don's head that he's been thinking about this for 3 or 4 days
Rent-free.
just to get the opportunity to say this. And my point was then as it is now. If Arsenal's shortcomings in getting to the title is because they couldn't get a result at Sunderland, they have bigger issues. That cannot be the explanation as to why they don't win the title. There will be bigger games for Arsenal in the future than away at Sunderland. As good a start as Sunderland has had, and as good a result as that was for Sunderland, that is not enough to climb up to the level of this is why Arsenal won't win a title. And if that's the case, again, I repeat, they have bigger issues.
Well, Jules, we talked about this on the show the other day, the fact that Manchester City have chased down Arsenal before and how sometimes it is easier to chase than to lead. Arsenal have been in this situation before and have lost out to City. Don now, though, is saying that it's 50-50 for either of them to win the title. Do you really think it's that close?
I was at City on Sunday for the Liverpool game. It's the first time that I saw them live this season. Usually it's on television. I was very impressed by what I saw from City, the tactical evolution from Guardiola, what he's implementing to this team, the overloaded midfield, the positioning of Doku, the form of Foden and Bernardo Silva, plus Haaland. Obviously, while Cherki is still finding his feet a little bit, but getting there, I think this could turn into a very, very good season for Manchester City, or certainly a very good team again from City, far from what we saw at this stage last year, for example. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. I still think that Arsenal have to be favourite because they're 4 points clear to start with, because they've played City already, albeit at the Emirates, but we've already had a game between them two, and both have played Liverpool too. So I think this is a decent advantage for Arsenal to have more than a quarter into the season already. But I think it would be very tight. I would give it maybe 60-40 for Arsenal, but I think at the end of the season, City and Arsenal will be very close to each other.
Oh, wow, how everyone has changed their song.
Well, you know why Don settled on 50-50.
Why?
He doesn't have to do math.
Jules did some math.
No. It was a tiny little bit deeper than that, Ali. It was. I mean, you are correct in the math, I'll give you that. But there's a little bit of method to the madness. I mean, this is a side that hasn't won the title for 21 years. and they've got Man City chasing them down, who's done this twice to them already. So, I think we're going to be in.
Welcome back to the Premier League show. Sunderland left it late, but they put a pin in Arsenal's balloon on Saturday. That late equaliser meant points dropped, and by the time Sunday was done, the gap to Manchester City was just 4 points. I'm enjoying the show of hands game. I feel a bit like I'm on Jerry Springer or something. So we're going to go Arsenal or Manchester City. Who thinks Arsenal are favourites for the title at the moment? The Arsenal fans, good?
They're favourites.
Ooh, so that's going to be 5. I'm assuming everyone else is going to say City. Yep, definitely the City fan at the front. Good. That doesn't surprise me. Who looks stronger to you, Jimmy?
Arsenal is further ahead. I think Man City is catching up, but they are dangerous because we all know that they can go 20 matches unbeaten. It's the mental state of Arsenal. Eventually, will they keep on believing that they can become champions? Are they mentally strong enough when they get a little blip? You know, how will they come back after international week, after the Sunderland draw? But they have got a better squad than Man City. In all places, they have got 2 really good players. So they should be able to do it. So for me, at this moment of time, I'll say Arsenal. You know,
as a Chelsea fan, would you want Arsenal to win the league?
That's not the question. You know, that's not the question. To be fair, I love my Chelsea. They are number 1 for me. You know, with Leeds and Middlesbrough that I've played for, they're very close to my heart. But I've always liked Arsenal as a club.
How could you say that?
Because I'm a football lover. I think Arsenal as a club, you know, it's always had something, you know, class. Spurs as well. So
We've got our social media clips, by the way. Jimmy Ford Hasselbank loves Arsenal and Spurs.
No, but I used to score a lot against them. Let's not forget.
You scored against most people, to be fair.
No, but so analysing them, where they are at the moment, they've got everything going for them. It has to be this year. It has to be this year.
They say that every year, though.
No. I didn't say this every year.
No,
I'm saying this now. It has to be this year. If it is not this year, then.
Well, let's ask, shall we? Let's ask Scarlett, who you might have noticed a slight resemblance between Scarlett and Lola. I'm very glad that they're different teams that they support. We'll maybe get to that in a moment. Scarlett, is this the year?
Well, it certainly seems like it, doesn't it? I think things have broken for us.
This could be a very, very unpleasant car ride home if the two of you are carpooling.
You should have seen what she was saying at the beginning of the season, but I'm sure we'll get to that. I mean, I think things have fallen in a way for once that are favourable to us if you look at our title races for the past few years. City have certainly entered the chat, you know, they've put a run together. They did lose to Villa about 2 games ago, but apparently they might be unbeatable. But I think, you know, we're going to have a title race. And Jimmy alluded to it. Arsenal are ready. We've got depth in every position. And actually, I think we've been there or thereabouts for several seasons. Not that much has changed about Arsenal, apart from the fact that they've added variety to their game, which obviously Liverpool haven't. And it's costing them dearly at the moment.
Go on then, Matthew, our City fan. Give us the case for the blue corner.
Listen, I mean, history tells us that Arsenal haven't got it in them, and I can only look back at the last few years, and you know, as long as we're in the mix and breathing down their neck, they will crumble, and I imagine it's going to happen again. If it doesn't, don't get me wrong, they will deserve it, and then they might go on to win a couple of titles here and there, but as things stand, you know, we're looking good. Keep on going. Haaland keeps on scoring. They're going to crumble.
Well, I think something broke in City last season.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
and they're hungry as ever.
Something changed, and the way that everybody sees you is different now.
It wasn't actually that bad a season for City. Everyone said they fell off. You still finished 3rd and got to a final.
Yeah.
I just think this is a different Arsenal.
3rd is not good enough.
By our standards.
It's not good enough,
But for
I agree.
Arsenal, that's a good season.
I actually predicted City to finish higher than Liverpool this season. I just think it's a different Arsenal this season.
Yeah.
The depth, the experience we've got now, it's a different Arsenal.
The only thing that I want Arsenal to do better is scoring more outfield goals.
Yeah.
You can't depend as much on your set pieces.
But Jimmy, I think
that's the only thing that I want. I want the Sakas, the midfielders to come up more with combination kind of goals, because you're gonna get a lot of teams, they're going to sit deep. They're going to sit deep, like Sunderland.
Well, Arteta's plan is to score goals. It's not to sit back and win games 1-0 or fine margins. If you look at the 23-24 season where Arsenal missed out by 2 points, 89 points, City got 91. We scored the most goals that Arsenal have ever scored in the Premier League. Attacking philosophy is in Arteta's mind.
That was 2 seasons ago.
That's a couple of years ago, right? I think we've got a better squad now. If you look at the Sunderland game, for example, we had 2 fit attackers, Trossard and Saka. They both scored the goals. You know, when our depth
good,
comes back,
but I need that to happen more.
I think it will. When teams actually play against us, like Atletico Madrid did, for example, they came to the Emirates, second half, they came out, they conceded 4 goals and a half.
Yeah, but not everybody's going to do that, especially in the Premier League. Premier League is different. They're not going to do that, and that is where I would like them to be a little bit more fluent with their forward play.
But I don't think we've struggled against low blocks this season. I mean, like, we really struggled last season.
No, because you've scored a lot of free, set pieces.
But if that's the way, you have to break the game open.
Yeah, but that's not always going to happen.
No,
you're
it's
not. Going to,
but
you're not going to win a league with
play
only that.
XG is quite high.
Let's finish with Manchester City again, though, Matthew. And a lot of people say it. Well, City will go on one of those runs again because they saw you do it from 2018 to maybe 2021, 22, something like that. Yeah. Is this City group, or team rather, capable of the 13, 14 in a row?
Yeah, I don't see why not. You know, there's been a lot of change in the last year, but we've brought in born winners like.
What happens if Haaland gets injured?
Haaland gets injured. Foden is coming into form. Marmoush is
Your
back.
second top scorer is a Burnley player.
That is very true, and it is a concern. I'm not going to ignore that. But Erling Haaland's an absolute freak, and I'm sure if he did get injured, other players in our team would step up. You know, you've got Foden, you've got Rodri, who no one seems to. Everyone seems to forget about Rodri.
Last year after Haaland got injured.
What, last season?
Yeah.
I mean, last season across the board it was a struggle, but this season now, I mean,
it is going to be a problem. If Haaland gets injured, it's a problem.
Yeah, it will. But you know. It's difficult to maybe
can't win the league if
player gets injured. They're going to struggle.
If Salah got injured last season for Liverpool, you know, it would have probably thrown them off the title race. But I think the way we've looked, you know, the likes of Jeremy Doku, Phil Foden, looking so confident, so threatening. I don't see what's going to stop us unless injuries or, you know, lapse concentration like last season. But I think
the gap might be a little closer the next time the two teams play, because a big test for Arsenal rather next. It is the North London derby after the international break.
Mikel Arteta's contradictory comments dismissed after Everton versus Arsenal fixture change. Mikel Arteta has faced criticism from sections of the Arsenal fanbase after the Premier League granted the club's request to move their away fixture against Everton forward by 1 day. However, a closer look at Arteta's statements shows there was no real contradiction in his words, only a misunderstanding of priorities. The change means Arsenal will now face Everton on December 20th, rather than on Sunday the 21st, allowing the Gunners an extra day of rest before their Carabao Cup quarter-final against Crystal Palace. From the club's perspective, it's a sensible move to protect player welfare and performance levels during a congested period. Yet for many supporters, the news came as an inconvenience, and in some cases, a financial burden. Fans who had already booked non-refundable travel and accommodation for the original date could now be out of pocket. In response, Arsenal announced that they would provide coach travel to Liverpool for £10 return, but the gesture didn't stop frustration from spilling over on social media. An Arsenal fixture news account on X, formerly Twitter, at AFC Fixture News, summed up the mood. The away match against Everton has been moved to Saturday, December 20th at 8 p.m. thanks to at Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, and at Sky Sports PL. The last train from Liverpool to London departs at 8:12 p.m. Football for the fans. Replies to the post, from an account with over 40,000 followers, were divided. Some supporters even accused Arteta of contradicting earlier comments where he seemed to emphasize the importance of fan welfare. But is that really the case? Having attended the press conferences where Arteta was asked about the scheduling issues before and after the Crystal Palace quarter-final was announced, it becomes clear his comments were taken out of context. Following Arsenal's win over Brighton in the Carabao Cup fourth round, Arteta was asked whether he feared fixture congestion could become a problem. He responded, "I hope not. If we take care of the well-being of both players and our supporters, we should never get to that point. That's our most important value. We have the best league in the world, and we can't lose that by ignoring what makes it special. If we respect that, I'm sure everything will be fine." This was the first time Arteta mentioned both players and supporters together in this specific context, placing them in the same sentence, not necessarily in the same order of importance. Later, when Arsenal were traveling to Prague for their Europa League win over Slavia, the December 23rd date for the Palace match was confirmed. Asked about the potential scheduling clash, Arteta, visibly serious, said, "Hopefully they move the Premier League game, because it doesn't make any sense to play until that late in December. I'm sure they'll make the right decision." When pressed again about the long-term impact of playing 2 matches in 3 days, he clarified his stance. "As I said before, I'm confident the league will apply the right principles, to prioritize the players first, then the supporters, and to make sure things remain fair for all clubs." In other words, Arteta's position has been consistent. His hierarchy, players first, then fans, reflects the practical realities of management. From a sporting point of view, that's not unreasonable. His job ultimately is to give Arsenal the best chance of winning matches, and playing 2 high-intensity games within 72 hours would compromise that goal while increasing injury risks. That said, the disruption to fans is real and shouldn't be dismissed. Arsenal have tried to mitigate the damage, offering affordable coach travel to Merseyside. It's not an afterthought. The club has made similar efforts before. For instance, earlier this season they organized a chartered train service for the trip to Manchester. The pilot program was later cancelled due to low uptake, but supporters were refunded, and coach travel was again arranged at less than half the train fare. Still, some pointed to restrictions on alcohol consumption on those buses as a reason for the lack of enthusiasm among travelers. A small but telling example of the balancing act clubs face between fan experience and logistical responsibility. As someone traveling to Liverpool on the new date to cover the match, it's easy to empathize with supporters' frustration. Plans are disrupted, and expenses add up. Yet, from a footballing standpoint, it's equally clear why the adjustment was necessary. In the end, the accusation that Arteta betrayed his words doesn't hold up. His comments were consistent with his role, a manager whose first duty is to protect his players and the team's ability to compete. While supporters deserve respect and consideration, ensuring player welfare, and by extension, the club's chances of success, inevitably comes first. The debate highlights a broader tension that runs through modern football, the struggle to balance fan experience with the relentless demands of the sporting calendar. For Arteta, it's not about choosing one over the other, but about finding a way to keep both sides moving in the same direction. The scheduling change has sparked broader discussions about fixture congestion and the growing disconnect between football authorities and match-going supporters. While the Premier League's decision ultimately favored Arsenal's sporting interests, it reignited long-standing frustrations among fans who feel that television broadcasters, rather than clubs or supporters, dictate the modern football calendar. Several supporter groups voiced their disapproval following the announcement. The Football Supporters Association, FSA, released a statement calling for greater transparency in fixture scheduling, emphasizing the financial and logistical strain late changes impose on fans. Once again, supporters are being treated as an afterthought, the statement read. When games are moved at short notice for broadcast or scheduling purposes, fans are left out of pocket. This has to change. These concerns have grown louder in recent years as fixture lists become increasingly congested, with Premier League clubs competing in multiple domestic and international competitions. December, in particular, is notorious for its relentless schedule, and managers have repeatedly warned that player fatigue and injuries are becoming inevitable outcomes of such intensity. Arteta's comments, prioritizing player welfare first, then fans, reflect a reality shared by many top-flight managers. Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, and Erik ten Hag have all voiced similar frustrations about scheduling in recent months. Guardiola, after Manchester City's December fixtures were adjusted for television, remarked that the players are not machines, echoing the same sentiment that underpins Arteta's reasoning. Yet, despite the alignment among managers, fans often find themselves caught in the middle. They shoulder the financial and emotional burden of fixture changes while being told those changes are made in the name of fairness or player protection. In practice, those decisions often serve commercial partners first, particularly broadcasters who push for prime-time slots to maximize viewership. From Arsenal's perspective, the fixture change is undeniably beneficial. Playing Everton on the 20th instead of the 21st gives Arteta's side 2 full days of rest before the Carabao Cup quarter-final against Crystal Palace, an important fixture as the Gunners continue their pursuit of silverware on multiple fronts. It also reduces the risk of injuries at a time when the squad has been stretched thin by European and domestic commitments. Internally, Sources close to the club maintain that the request for a schedule adjustment was made solely based on player welfare and sporting integrity, not with disregard for supporters. Arsenal's communication staff are said to have worked closely with fan liaison officers to ensure alternative travel options were available, though they acknowledge that such measures can never fully compensate for the inconvenience caused. Meanwhile, the Premier League defended its decision, citing the need to maintain competitive balance across the fixture list. A league spokesperson explained that changes of this nature are reviewed on a case-by-case basis, and that input from clubs, broadcasters, and local authorities is taken into account. However, critics argue that such explanations have become formulaic, offering little real comfort to fans who consistently bear the consequences of late scheduling shifts. The ripple effects of this incident extend beyond Arsenal. Supporter groups from other clubs have pointed to it as yet another example of how fan priorities are sidelined in the modern game. There are renewed calls for an independent review of fixture planning and for a minimum notice period before changes are approved, proposals that have circulated for years but never gained traction. For Arteta, however, the matter seems settled. His focus remains on maintaining squad fitness and momentum heading into a decisive period of the season. While the debate over priorities will continue, his stance, that the health and performance of players must come first, reflects a pragmatic, if unpopular, truth in modern football. In the end, the controversy around Arsenal's fixture change underscores a growing divide between the business of football and the experience of football. Managers like Arteta operate in a results-driven environment where every decision is judged by points and trophies. Fans, on the other hand, live the consequences of those decisions, in time, travel, and loyalty. The real challenge for English football now lies in bridging that gap, ensuring that the pursuit of success on the pitch doesn't come at the expense of the very people who fill the stands.